What's going on, everyone? My name is Twig, and I'm happy to talk about my review of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle after obtaining all achievements. The game launched officially on December 8th, but I bought the premium edition so I could play the game 3 days early in order to get this review out as quickly as possible. I pretty much grinded the game all weekend besides putting up some Christmas lights, and I have to say this game exceeded my expectations by a long shot. I was kind of going into this one with an open mind. I ended up really enjoying my time with it, and there is a bunch of cool stuff to talk about, especially in terms of achievements, which is probably why you clicked on this video in the first place. If you like these types of videos, consider subscribing here on YouTube, where I've started posting video reviews of games that I perfect here in video format, or you can add me on Steam where I post my written reviews. The link to the Steam Curator group will be down below in the description as well. I really appreciate you for taking the time to check out this video. Now, in terms of where the game lines up in the Indiana Jones timeline, it falls somewhere in between the first film, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and the third film, The Last Crusade. You'll get hints of references made to previous relics that Indy has found or previous characters that he's encountered as you dive deeper into the game, but one thing that is cool right off the bat is that the game tutorial area is a recreation of a scene from the Raiders of the Lost Ark movie, which I thought was super cool and very well done. Machine Games are the devs, Bethesda Softworks is the publisher, and as soon as you boot up the game, you get that Machine Games feel. If you played their previous masterpieces like the Wolfenstein games, then you know what I'm talking about. It is set in the year 1937. An artifact is stolen from the college that Dr. Jones teaches at by a huge giant, which leaves Indy no choice but to pursue. I'm not going to spoil anything directly related to the story by talking about it, just know that I will be showing gameplay related to side quests, main quest, and other late game areas, especially during the achievement breakdown section of this video. You get to travel to some awesome places like the Vatican, the Egyptian pyramids of Giza, Shanghai in China, the snow-covered Himalayas, sacred temples in Thailand, and much, much more. The main story is absolutely awesome, and what's even better, in my opinion, are the side quests. With Todd Howard as the executive producer, I knew that I was going to enjoy the story, but what I was shocked by was how awesome the way the combat works in this game. Now, the AI isn't the best, but it's definitely not the worst. Machine Games are essentially pros at this point in terms of making Nazi enemies, but to be honest, I didn't do a lot of shooting at all. You primarily use hand-to-hand combat or use random melee weapons that are plentiful around you in order to take down enemies. It felt a lot like Super Hot without the time element attached to it, but punching feels amazing, and so does swinging an enemy's own weapon at them after disarming them with your whip. There are these things called adventure books that you can either find out in the world or buy them in order to upgrade your character's abilities. The system feels amazing and just works really good. In an interview with the devs, they said they spent a lot of time and effort into making the system feel right, and you can definitely tell they put some thought into it because it fits nicely with the pace of the game. Touching on the pace of the game though, everything you do is pretty much on the fly. Their quick select menu works amazingly, and being able to look at your map while moving is a brilliant design choice. Your health and stamina bar are forever changing with upgrades, but you do have a super quick sprint and a sort of regenerative health bar that only gets better as the game goes on. You can also use bandages to heal, and another huge part of the game is outfits. Sneaking is a huge role, but you don't necessarily have to. It may be wise in some scenarios, but after finding outfits to disguise yourself, you'll fit right into the crowd. Some areas are friendly to the bad guys, some require you to be in clerical attire, and sometimes you just want to look cool in your explorer outfit. As long as the main guards don't detect you, you'll be able to freely move amongst them to carry on your task. Like I said, the main missions tell a great overlying story, but completing the mysteries and side quests, which are called field work technically, really add to the world and characters around you. You can fly through the game only doing the main quest, and then you can come back and do optional content later if you want. Returning to previous areas works flawlessly, and I really loved the system they had in place because it makes hunting down collectibles for completionists super easy and straightforward. The overall game is broken up into sections where there are 3 main areas where there are huge open areas for you to explore, and you unlock these as you progress through the main story. Tying these large areas together are smaller, more linear locations that help move things along. The way that it's set up feels really good personally, as you're constantly getting a fresh feel. Another huge part of the game are puzzles, which vary greatly in types. As you go deeper in the game, the more involved the puzzles get, with the final puzzle in the game being by far the hardest in my opinion. I put out a guide on it as soon as I solved it at like 3 in the morning because no one had made one yet, but I absolutely love the puzzle side of this game. You have environmental puzzles where you use the items in the world around you to help you solve them. You have safe and key code lock puzzles where you get hints from notes and other items around you. And then later in the game you run into these gear cog puzzles which tested my brain big time. I'm a big puzzle guy, so all of these were right up my alley. I don't know if I ever stated what type of game Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is, but it's a first-person, puzzle-rich, action-adventure game with a great story and a lot of collectibles. When I first picked this up, I didn't really expect it to be what I experienced in my 39 hours with this one. My hype meter was probably around 6 or so, and after beating it, I'd say it was around an 8 or 9. The price point will definitely keep some people away until it goes on sale. It's a staple for Xbox though, and I understand with that $70 base price tag, it will be marked off of some people's radar from the get-go. I do think it's on Game Pass, but that's a whole nother thing. I did want to point out that there were a lot of people who couldn't get the game to run very well with their setup. I personally didn't have any issues like that at all, but I have a pretty beefy setup. On the Steam Deck though, you pretty much have to dumb down all the settings to get it even playable, so I wouldn't suggest getting it just yet if you are just playing only on the deck. And it doesn't even have a playable rating right now, although the devs have been hard at work with a post-launch patch. Some things that I really liked about the game are the story, especially the side quest, the combat, hand-to-hand punching feels amazing, and the underground fight rings were a nice touch. The different areas were awesome to explore, especially the Thailand jungle and being able to drive the boat around. And of course all the puzzles, I loved them all. The collectibles were extremely fun to collect, which we'll talk about more here in just a second, but overall, the journey to 100% this one was very enjoyable and not too hard at all. There are 4 different difficulties for you to pick from at the beginning: light, moderate, hard, and very hard, and they do difficulty separation kind of like Silent Hill 2 did in theirs earlier this year. They broke action difficulty into one category and then adventure difficulty into its own for like solving puzzles. There are no achievements tied to either of these, so just choose whatever you want to play on. There are a total of 45 in this one, with majority of them being tied to completing story missions or side missions. It honestly feels good unlocking one for every quest you complete, along with a lot of easy miscellaneous ones like eating different foods, performing certain combat moves, and adding photographs to your journal. None of these were hard to do, just playing through the game nets you most of the achievements, but doing all quests will help you to naturally explore and mark some of these other things off the list, like solving all mysteries in specific areas of the game, or even finding all boxing rings and defeating all contenders to unlock the Tour de Force achievement. There are a ton that go hand in hand by exploring and earning money. You'll be able to buy these books from certain vendors that will give you quest markers to items that you are looking for, which helps out a ton. You'll need to be on the hunt for lost artifacts to unlock an achievement for finding all of them, which they aren't usually hard to find, but they're in weird areas that you might not normally go on your journey. You will need to learn all abilities from the adventure books, which will net you the Bookman achievement. And one that I found was pretty sick was the Gearhead achievement, which is one that you unlock by solving a certain cogwheel puzzle that is in one of the last areas of the game. It's cool because you need to visit like 5 other ruins in order to obtain enough cogs to be able to solve this puzzle. That really pushes you to think. The last 2 achievements you'll likely have left are the Shadows Out of Time achievement and the Archivist achievement like I did. Find all ancient relics and then collect all journal notes in the game. Again, these aren't hard since you can buy books to help you find their locations, but they will take some time, and it helps that the world is fun to explore. Gathering all ancient relics will need to be done before you can take on the final puzzle in the game to obtain the last note needed, which also reveals a secret cutscene. I missed a note in like the beginning of the game, so that note wasn't technically my last note, which kind of sucks, but either way, the journey was definitely a fun one. I'm really glad I decided to pick this one up. Got it done just in time to play the new Power Rangers game with my bro, which releases today. If you stuck around this long, thank you for watching and listening. It really does mean a ton. I had a great time finishing this one up, and I think this game is just what the series needed, so well done, Machine Games. I've got quite a few videos planned to finish off the year, and we also have the VGAs coming this week, so it should be a fun one. I hope you have a blessed day, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.